I recently stumbled across a conversation between a group of boxing fans online, and they were discussing the upcoming Chris Eubank Jr., Reynold Quinlan pay-per-view on ITV. And these fans, and this is something I've talked about in previous videos, these fans were saying that apparently the undercard for this fight, and this is unconfirmed, but apparently the undercard is going to be free to air, and it's only going to be the main event that will be pay-per-view. And they were saying this is stupidity. How could the Eubanks only put the main event on pay-per-view? Nobody's going to buy it. Everybody will just watch the undercard and then they'll think, oh, we ain't paying extra to watch one fight. That's ridiculous. The Eubanks are stupid here. They're being greedy and it's going to backfire on them big time. Well, here's my take on it, because I don't think it's quite that straightforward. I suspect it's not, at least. ITV at the end of the day are treading new ground. This is uncharted territory for ITV. They've never done a pay-per-view before. So at the very least, they want to break even, if not make a profit. If the whole show was on pay-per-view, then they'd be at the mercy of the pay-per-view model. How many people are actually going to buy it? So I suspect that it was ITV who insisted on the undercard being free to air. That's my suspicion. Because if it's free to air, they're guaranteed to get a few million people watching the undercard. This is ITV we're talking about, one of the major television stations in the UK. So if they were to get 3 to 4 million viewers for the undercard, that's perfectly reasonable. That's the kind of numbers, minimum really, that you'd expect ITV to be getting for the undercard if it's free to air. So they'll make their money back from the advertising revenue of 3 to 4 million viewers. Easy. And with that, again, I don't know this for a fact, but with the advertising revenue from the 3 to 4 million viewers, they should be able to pay the undercard fighters with it. And perhaps the main event, Eubank Quinlan, which will be behind the pay-per-view paywall, perhaps the pay-per-view money will all be kept by the Eubanks. That'd be a very interesting and different model, wouldn't it? Where the undercard fighters all get paid from advertising revenue, and the large audience of whatever 3 or 4 million, they get paid from that. And the Eubanks will fight in front of a much smaller audience on pay-per-view for the main event, but they'll keep all the pay-per-view money. And there are people saying, well, there's no way that the Eubanks will be successful with this pay-per-view, selling only one fight behind the pay-per-view paywall. Nobody's going to watch it. Nobody's going to buy it. Think about this. Let's say the undercard gets 4 million viewers, which is very realistic. That might even be conservative if ITV promote it right. Even if only 5% of those 4 million viewers buy the main event, which is like what? 200,000 people is, I believe, 5% of 4 million. So let's say only 5% of that 4 million buy the main event. That's still 200,000 pay-per-view buys at £10 a pop or more as the fight gets closer. You know, the price will go up as the fight gets closer. So you do the maths on it. It's going to be at least 10, maybe £15 multiplied by 200,000. That would be 5% of the undercard audience. That's going to be over £1 million, all kept by the Eubanks. And if you're doing 200,000 pay-per-view buys for your first pay-per-view, I'm sorry people, that's a success. So as much as I don't think this is pay-per-view fair, the Reynold Quinlan fight, the IBO title, I think it's all a bit Mickey Mouse and a bit of a joke. From a business perspective, I don't think the Eubanks are as stupid as some people believe or want to believe. Because at the end of the day, I've mentioned this previously, sometimes when people hate a certain fighter, they become blind to anything smart or good that fighter does. Their hatred blinds them from seeing what's actually in front of their face. I don't think the Eubanks are as stupid as some people are making out. If they were that stupid, they would never have been able to do a deal with ITV in the first place. I think it's wishful thinking a lot of the time with people. They want the EUBANK'S to fail, so they're only seeing failure. They're not seeing that actually this model might work for them. In fact, as horrifying as that might be for a lot of people to deal with, this might actually work for them. People have often said that EUBANK Sr. is ruining his son's career. And they cite the failed Golovkin fight as an example of how he's ruining his son's career. Well, when the Golovkin EUBANK Jr. fight looked like it was going to happen, 99.9% of you thought that EUBANK Jr. was going to get destroyed. So why is it a bad thing? Why is it, ruining EUBANK's career for that fight to not go ahead at that time, if you guys all thought that he was going to get destroyed anyway? Most of you were saying he's not ready yet for a Golovkin fight. So when you think about it, it may have actually been a genius move by EUBANK Sr. to not make that fight, to cause a load of commotion and controversy and hype and publicity by making it look like they were going to take the fight and then not actually taking it. If that's in fact what they did, they claimed they were really serious about it. I don't know. But let's just say it was a publicity stunt. If it was a publicity stunt, well, it worked, didn't it? And if EUBANK Jr. really wasn't ready for Golovkin, as I suspect he wasn't, then it was the best thing to do to not go ahead with a fight. Because they're keeping the gravy train going and they can go and fight lesser fighters with this same, publicity and hype that they've generated by mentioning themselves in the same sentence as Golovkin. So from a business perspective, the EUBANK'S might actually be very smart and not the dummies and what have you that some people are making them out to be. I guess time will tell. But I wouldn't be so quick to dismiss what the EUBANK'S are doing from a business perspective. I would not be so quick to do that. I actually think they're more shrewd than a lot of people realize or a lot of people want to believe. Again, as I say, we will find out one way or another in due course. Drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel about everything I've talked about in this video. It's Hatman. I'm out.